work, and my job is quite easy. I just need to do the welcoming, and then I can hand it over to the people that actually know what they're talking about. So, couple of quick notes. Just we are gonna just go through a very basic set of points, but we'd like to make this interactive as well. So you'll see we've got the question and answer at the end. If it's something that can wait, by all means, we can wait till the end. But if you feel that it's relevant, or if it's a question that you want to ask about something that Johan is covering at that point in time, raise your hand or pop it into the chat, and we'll try and handle it at the same time. I think it's easiest to get it out the way and make sure that we get the questions in at the time of handling it. This is very interactive, or very informal, in the sense that we want to hear from you as well. So please interrupt Yuan, especially if he starts hammering on the same point the whole time. That just let's just move him on ourselves as well. Sorry, Yuan. But in any case, I'm gonna hand over to Johan Fisaki. Johan is our director in charge of the small segment, which basically incorporates the Sage Business Cloud Accounting, Sage 1, or Sage, I don't know how many name changes they've had on this poor application. So whichever one you've heard of, it's all the same. But yeah, it's now called Sage Business Cloud Accounting, and we'd like to take you through a couple of options. I know we've got guys on that is on the application. We've got guys on that considered it because they're running on Pascal Partner, which has also been around forever. So let's go through it. Like I said, ask him, put up your hand, put it in the chat. We'll take it from there. Johan, over to you.
Thank you very much, Eugene. Thanks for the introduction. Welcome everyone to the webinar. Thank you very much for taking your time out and joining us. I hope it'll be very informative. It is I don't know if it's a poor application for the renaming of it all the time, but yeah, it is actually becoming quite a very good application as well. So as we go through, we will touch on all those points on the real financial insights, the compliance, the submissions for VAT, the bank feeds, document storage. We will go through that as we go through the application. So I'll touch on all those points. So please, yeah, just have some interaction, and then put your hands up when you need to ask something, or we can keep it as well for the end as well. So I'm just going to share my screen and go straight into the application. Can everybody see the login screen?
Thanks.
Okay, so you'll just your email is quite important, because that's what you'll be logging onto, and then you'll create a password, obviously. You can sign up for a 30-day trial version, which then allows you for 30 days to play around in there before you actually sign up for it. So there's a 30-day free application for the sign up there. As you go in, you'll see there's a lot on the screen, a lot to see and a lot to play around with, and it sometimes becomes a bit cumbersome in a way. But we'll deal with the dashboards just now. But you'll see if I start straight from the drop-down menu system here on the home side, I can go to which account, which dashboard I need to work with on the day. I can also put the dashboard there per user, so you can then see in your face on the screen what needs to be done or what you're working with. Okay, so the main thing to do first of all is just to go through the administration and the setup. So if you do sign up for the software, I mean, it's really easy to use. It's quick to get up and running. You can get up and running in a day or two. If you're just starting from scratch, there's already an existing chart of accounts for you. You just need to start adding your customers, suppliers, and your items, and that can all be imported quite easily. Just going from the administration side of things, obviously you sign up with them through the portal. If you look at your account, you can see your subscription summary. It's all there. What licenses you have, and which modules you can add on. Okay, your billing information gets given through here, so you don't really need to actually phone Sage at any point. You can just do everything online. Your login and contact details, you can change your passwords there. You can manage your subscriptions and your payments through this as well. You can do your upgrades from here. So if you want to add more users or more licenses. So the standard package that you get is a two users and one company, and from then you pay, and you can also pay monthly or annually, depending on how your budget works. And then you can add your time tracking, multi-currency, advanced inventory, debtors management, and also your document storage as per modules that you need to add on. And the payment portal goes through here as well, so you can just do your payment. There's no real interaction with Sage telephonically on any of these points. That gives you your payment history as well. When you're in the system as well, so the number of rows, you can then customize that to see in the grids how many rows you want to see. So if you just want to see 5 at a time or 20, you can put it in the number of rows in your transaction grids, which is on your documents, number of rows in your list grids as well. So you can just don't make it too much, otherwise it becomes too big for the screen. And then here's where the dashboard, you can default your dashboard as you wish what you want to work on. These dashboards are also customizable. So if you have a user that's only going to work with customer dashboards, you can go in there and then you can customize that dashboard, take out screens that he doesn't want to see, and add functionality from where he wants to work. If you want email communication from Sage, which is, I suggest probably the best thing to do, because they do send you emails on what's new and everything, and sort of marketing related things, communication, insight, etc. And then you can invite your accountants and users as well from here. So if you on Sage Accounting and your accountant is on Sage Accounting and he's on the accountants edition, he can log in and do work on your but you can limit him to what he's allowed to do as well. So you can invite your accountants here. You can say add accountant, and from here you can just say add your accountant, and from there as well, once you've added him, you can then say to him what his role is, and from there you can then go and control what his accesses are. The same with the users. So once you've added the users or the accountant, email will be sent to them, and they can then put in their login details and create their own password. And you then have the right to go in and you go into permissions and you change what he's allowed to do. So it's quite extensive, where he can actually work and where he's not allowed to work. So the accountants area mostly, first of all,
no, there's no sound.
So first of all, you'll go to the accountants area and you can add all of this, or you can deselect everything and select where they're allowed to work. So from the administration side, that's quite easy and simple to log in, create your users, your accountants, and then use the control access for your accountants and users. Then under the setup options, all is under company. You can change company settings. So we'll just run through this quickly, because it's not a lot actually. So you can set it up in an hour and you'll have an up and running company. So additional company information is just your company tax numbers and your details. You can allow your customer to actually go into the customer zone, and we can enable the accounting customer zone for them to go into the system and look at invoices and quotes, or invoices and account history. So they can actually log in, not on your system, but just to see which invoices are outstanding and account history, so they don't have to pester you and phone you all the time for this. Online payment gateways, if you can partner up with Netcash, etc., so you can do payments straight from the system. You'll have to obviously set up a Netcash account. If you go in here and put in your details, they will contact you, and from there, they will then help you set up the pathways to do the payments. Your general settings, probably the most important. Your financial years, you'll see there's multiple financial years, not just 5 years. You can go as many as you like, and you can go back to those. And you can just add new financial year and say that's where I'm going to work in, and that's your year in basically done. You can always go back to the previous financial years and work on that, but you can set a lockdown date to say, okay, you don't want people to work in the previous financial year. Okay. So from that instance alone, saves a lot of time and everything else, and you can work back in previous financial years as well. So there's no setting up new books and everything else. It's a matter of working in one entity. Your rounding settings, that's pretty straightforward. Your regional settings, your day, month, year, your currencies. We do have a module with a foreign currency as well, and you can put in your actual currency symbol from that side. The customer and supplier settings, if you've worked on Parcel Part and Express before, you get that as well. Just warnings, if you want to see the warnings come up, if you're using the same reference codes on a customer invoice or supplier invoice, display inactive customers, so you can mark your customers as inactive, and then when you go search for them, you can either see them on that list or not see them on that list on the search screens. That's just something to go through, play around with. Your item settings, this would be your stock. You've got unlimited price lists that you can put in there. You can then set it not to go into negative, or warn when the quantities fall below 0, when the item cost is 0. So all of those settings are there. Outstanding balances, this is for your aging analysis for your customers and suppliers. You can run the aging based on the invoice date or due date, or you can do it monthly. The option you want your aging to work is the customer actual number of days. So just going through all of these settings, obviously, you can change it at any time. And from there, you can run your business on Sage Accounting from day one. Personal information, obviously, you want a retention period. So this is personal information will be permanently cleared based on the retention period and the last activity date. So if you say you want it to be 20 years, I can go up to 20 or 10 years retention on this. If my accountant was on the accountant's edition, I then consent to have my VAT 201 cross-border data transfer. This means that they can actually set up your VAT returns automatically so that you can do the VAT submissions automatically from Sage. The VAT settings, pretty straightforward. You got your 3 options. You have no VAT, your payments-based VAT, and invoice-based. Normally everybody is either no VAT or invoice-based. If you qualify for payments-based, then the system will open a provision account for you, and then whatever invoices or VAT transactions then get stored into the provision account until payments have been made for to your suppliers and your customers. You can select your VAT setup. That tells you your VAT period ends on a specific date, what your last submission due was, and then your VAT frequency. It's either 2 months or 1 month. And it's 15%. And you can add additional VAT codes if you need to. Under your documents and statements, you have your statement messages, which is straightforward that you can put in on your statements. you can change your document number. So if you come over from an older system, you can let the sequence carry on from where you ended off on the older system, and your new document number will be the one that comes out of the system. Document descriptions, if you don't like what Sage has called it, quotes, pro formas, the original names are all there. You can change it. If you the sales order, I've changed to pro forma invoice, so you can change the naming of the actual documents. Customer document messages, you can put specific messages on the quote, sales orders, customer invoices, etc. The same with the supplier document messages. And then you can go to invoice statement layouts. You'll see that Sage has quite a few. I think there's about 12 different layouts that they do have that you can look at and see if you like it. If you don't like any of their classic, modern, or plain layouts, there is a invoice layout designer that needs to be installed, and from that you can do your own layouts with logos, multiple logos, watermarks, any additional information that you don't want to see or add. It goes through the document layout designer. Then obviously the branding, you'll see I've created quite a few different ones playing around. So you can see there's multiple different layouts that you can have. And you can link a specific layout to a customer. So if you want a customer to have a specific layout for your looks of your documentation, then you can just link it to the customer. On the branding side, it's getting your logo in, whether you want a top left or top right. If you're just going to use the standard layout that Sage provides, documentation will show you what the sample text invoice look like. If I said top left preview, you'll see that the Thyme logo from our side is on this document. And like I said, if you do want to create your own documentation, there is that layout option that you can do. User-defined fields for customers. These are just additional fields that is not standard on the system. If you want to add these fields on your documentation, you can also do that on the layout. So when you do the actual invoice, you can put in the person's birth date or nickname, etc., and add it onto the fields into the actual documentation. The same with the suppliers, the items, the asset, the documents and transactions, specifically for quotes. Each one has its own fields. So I've just added one here for customer tax invoices, a fleet number, license number, driver. These are fields you can attach to your layouts, and from there you can just fill in the information that you want to print on your documentation, etc. Email signatures, you can have a email signature, which is pretty standard. It's an HTML. You can't actually add color or logos in here, but it's just a straightforward email template that you can put in for your emails that comes out of the system. If you're going to go the multi-currency route, you got to upgrade to that module. It does actually work quite nicely, so it works out your profit and loss and everything on the different times that you purchase or make payments to your suppliers, what the rates are, the differences, and it is automatically done in the background, works out your profit and loss areas for you. If anybody wants to have a demo on the multi-currency specifically, then you can just reach out to me and one of us, and we can go through it with you. There's quite a few things to go through on setting it up and everything else. And that's basically running through setting up your company. The next thing is to just do your imports for your customers. The imports are pretty easy. You can go to import data and you can import your customers as long as it's in a CSV, delimited file. And actually, they've got everywhere on every screen, you've got data guides and templates of how it must look like, and you can just fill in the gaps and do your import from there. So you can choose your file from there and import your customers, suppliers, items, and list of accounts. I'll see the different fields you can import is your customer categories, suppliers, items, item categories, assets, asset categories, asset locations, and accounts, which are your GL accounts. Just to mention that your list of accounts, if you're used to having codes in front of it, like in Pastel Partner, or Pastel Express, or some of the other accounting programs, they normally have codes that are digits that you can use. So in Pastel Partner, it'd be like 1,000 for sales. In Sage Accounting, there isn't a code system. It is all by name and description. The same with the customers and suppliers. It's just on your item side of your stock codes that you can actually have a code and a description. So just to mention that. You can add company notes and attachments. So you can add attachments on every side. I've just done an attachment to miscellaneous here, the bank import transactions. You can open it from here and you can see which notes you have or transaction attachments everywhere. But I'll show you later on where to add the transaction attachments, document transactions. Okay, then in the Sage Accounting, there's also a little asset register. It's not a full-blown asset register where it does your depreciations, etc. But there's quite a nice register that you can have. You can add your asset from this side, your description, a category, whether it's a computer or motor vehicle. You can put it in a location where you want it to be. You can add the date purchased, the serial number, who you bought it from, the purchase price, replacement value, current value, etc. So at any point in time, you can then run an asset report to see what assets you have. And from here, you can just click computers and it'll tell you where it is and everything else as well. Under reports, you'll find there's an asset report as well, which you can run. So you can do specific assets or just for a location, etc. So it's quite a nice feature to have to run your asset register. The budgets, you can add as many budgets as you like. You'll see that I have created some budgets here. So we will speak about analysis codes just now. So I can create which is basically a project or a cost code. You can create a specific budget for your yearly total company profit and loss, or you can do specific projects. But we'll touch on that just now as well. But you can just add your budgets from here. Enter the name of your budget this year, and you can create your budget from historical data or create it manually, and you can put it in per month as well. We'll have per month your budget for all of your sales accounts and expense accounts, and wherever you are on the screens, you can just save whatever you need to save. That budget can be used on any reports as well then for your projects, for your TB, for your profit and loss. User task management, I can create for users. I can create tasks, bank reconciliation, or whatever I want my users to do, customers follow up, etc. And then from the user task manager, I can open up a dashboard. This is still in the beta functionality, but it will be available soon. I can add tasks for users when it needs to be done, when the priority is low or high, customers follow up. I can say due dates by the 12th of October, customers follow up, which customers to follow up. I can add attachments. You'll see on every screen where the attachments are available is a little peg there, and I can add an attachment from there. Also, the document attachments, you'll see that the individual documents or files cannot exceed 2 megabytes. So a lot of people have tried to actually add attachments that's just over 2 megabytes, and it gives them an error. But and a maximum of 5 attachments can only be to 2 megabytes, and a maximum of 5 attachments per note or transaction can be added. On your subscription, you get 1 gigabyte of document store. If you need more, then obviously you got to pay per gig. I think there is a price. I think it's 17 Rand something odd per gig that you got to pay monthly if you go over your free 1 gig storage. The analysis codes is something that I really enjoy. You've got 3 areas where you can report on. So I just created one called projects, area, and race day. Doing it sensing that we are in a cycling store. I have created projects. Under projects, you can create as many projects as you like. You'll see mine is these cycling club projects. And then you can create areas, which is my Bloemfontein, Cape Town, PE, Pretoria, and then the race day, which is the Argos Tour de France 94.7. This allows you to actually put these codes against any transaction that you do, either being an expense, purchases, or invoices, which then you can create your reports, and under reports, I can do my financial statements, profit and loss, and I can use these analysis codes. I can filter them either by month or year or custom to date. I've got all these options to play with, month to date, quarter to date, year to date, life to date, even custom to date, last month, quarter, or all. And I can say, I want a project, I just want to see what's happening at El Lorraine High School Cycle Club or Sutherland, etc. The area I can just select, I just want to see what's happening in Joburg. What is my expenses in Joburg for that specific race day or area. I can go by analysis code, and I can select just by projects, and I can view the project. And you'll see I can have a look at what all my different projects are for sales, cost of sales, etc., and all my expenses. The uncategorized ones is ones that not I didn't use any codes against those expenses or income. So there's a lot of planning to go into if you want to use the analysis codes, etc. You can export your data, import the data, the same thing. And then there is, from this perspective, an opening balance where I can go and put in my opening balances if I'm starting from fresh. I can then go put in the opening balance, my all trial balance as per the system, as per my alt TB from my other system. If I get to a system account, like my customers, or trade receivables, they call it here, or my suppliers, which is trade payables, or my stock items, I can just add the opening balances from this into a grid. I can also import that. So if I run through all of that, is basically doing the admin, it's getting you signed up with Sage, getting the correct users, setting the correct users up, and managing them from that point. The company, what I'm setting up on the company. So it's quite important to run through all of this, which is quite simple and easy. And then from a reporting point, this is where everything is under reports. You'll see there is an accounting intelligence reporting on here as well, which is a standard report, which is a lot more than what is just available on here. But if I go into reporting for customers, I can go into customers, and you'll see there's a lot more options. List of customers, I can go, days outstanding is my aging, so it's just a different wording. Run at which date, from which customer to which customer. I can do it by category. I can have a summary or detail, and then I can also exclude the zero balance items. And it'll give me an age analysis, total due, current 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So this is just a summary. If I go to show report options, I can go to details and refresh, and I'll have the detailed report. Okay, so just from real-time financial insights, I mean, this is all the reports that are here, and the compliant reports that I need is all in here. So I can do my customers, suppliers, stock items. You'll see in stock items, I've got quite a host of reporting that I can do as well. And then I can do my normal accounts or financial statements, and then I get to VAT as well. But we'll get back to VAT just now. But my budget reports are there. The other modules that you can do purchase separately with Sage Accounting is the time tracking and the debtors manager. Time tracking, if you're doing specific projects, if you're a consultant or a accountant and you want to track your time, you can do time sheets, and you can later invoice them out to the correct customers. Debtors manager is just to help you with the debtors collecting. Your asset report is there, your financial statements there, your VAT, your accounts, etc. Okay. So all the compliance is there that you need. You also have then an accountant's area where the accountant can basically log in, or if you're the accountant of the actual entity, you can do your journal processing through here. The journal processing is pretty easy. You can import your journals into here. You'll see I've got some journals that I've passed in there. These are actually recurring journals for depreciation that I've set up. And once you've done your journals, you can just save it and then mark it as reviewed, and it'll go into the system. You can add a recurring journal from here, which I have, and you can add different recurring journals. You can create a template for that journal, and from there select a schedule of when do you want that journal to actually come live into the system. If it's one time only, you can do it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. You set up a start date and end after how many occurrences, and or you can end it by a date. So if you have accruals, if you have depreciation journals, salary journals, you can set up a template, and that will then create the transactions for you. The transaction is by debiting an account. So if I want to debit an account, call it accounting fees. I put in a reference, a description. If there's VAT, I can put VAT in there, an amount, and then by affecting the other account. So I can put it to an accrual account. So the debit will go to the accounting fees, and the credit will go to the salary clearing account, or whichever account you want to put in there. And just by adding new columns or rows, I can then put the rest of my journals through. So that's basically your journals that you use from the accountant's area. The recurring journals that you set up. Okay, I've got to go out of this one. I can just go left. The recurring journals you set up from here. which is quite a nice feature. You'll see I have already set up quite a few recurring journals, accruals, interest earned, monthly depreciation. I can just click on it and it gives me my recurring journals. And each one that I want to go into, I look at the schedule, so I click on that one, whichever ones I want to work with, and I put a schedule to it. I can say I want it monthly on the first day of each month, end date after 12 months, or I can put an end date on it. Save. So that'll take care of all my journals on a monthly basis. And from the accountants area, I've got my normal management reports, profit and loss, balance sheet, trial balance. You'll see with all of these, when I go in there, the options that I have, I can just ask for the options, what I need to see. So if I see month to date, per project, if I don't, I just want to see the whole profit and loss report, I can just run that for September, show me the month, and I can go back to show profit report options, and I can change that. All of these are reports I can print a PDF. So in every screen I can print that report to PDF, to Excel, to CSV printer, or I can email it straight to someone. Okay, so that's basically from the reports point of view, and that's where most of your setup has been done. If I have imported my items, my suppliers and my customers, and my chart of account is in, like I said, you probably can get you up and running in a day. Is there any questions further from your side? Just from the setup side of things, or from the administration side of things? Okay, then you can just carry on, and we'll jump into the actual meat of the daily transactions and stuff, and I'll show you some shortcuts. And just by the way, the security of the Sage one, it's the same or even stronger than the banking security. They have Sage has got an ISO 27001 certification for the security, that nobody can just get into any of the information. And then from customers, you see, you can either use the dashboards to do your transactions. I've opened so many screens. You can have multiple screens, as you see. So from your dashboard, if you were working with items, I can go into the item dashboard, and I've got everything that I need from my item point of view. Yeah, I like to use the drop-down menus, as everything I have to do with items is all under items. So from here, I can add a stock item. I can look at the list of my stock items. And you'll see I've got quite a lot of items in here. If I just want to look at an item, I can click on the item. It brings up, you'll see that you've got a code and a description, a category, whether it's a physical or a service item. So if it was a service item, it would be hours, etc. Nothing that you purchase. Okay, when you sign up for Sage Accounting, how the stock system works is basically anything that you purchase goes straight to your income statement, which is your purchases account. You have to do a monthly journal to correct your inventory control account in your balance sheet. There is an advanced inventory module that you can sign up for as well. that's got a cost to it. This then basically change it to perpetual, which means that you, when you buy the stock item in, it goes to your balance sheet at an average cost as you purchase the same stock item in at different times and prices. And at the time of sale, it then takes it out of your inventory control and takes it into your purchases in the income statement. Okay, you've got your opening cost. You can even put your opening quantity there, but you can put that in under opening balances, under company opening balances. You can then use the price lists that you've created, and you can put in the different prices that you want, and you can select that when doing sales, etc. You can have a look at the activity, if there was notes to this, the user-defined fields. There's a sales graph on this and a purchases graph, and you can actually bring a picture in as well of the stock item. Under items, I can also create bundles. So if I'm going to sell something that comes bundled with some other stock items, and I don't want to just list it on the invoice every time that I go through, especially if it becomes a big bundle, I've created a bundle for I just call it a track, bike, and accessories, and it's made up of the mountain bike, sights, helmets, and gloves. And so when I invoice, this will be listed on the invoice just by using the bundle on the invoice. Okay. My transaction item adjustments, I do under items as well. I can do a quantity on hand or average cost, or quantity on hand and average cost using quick grid entry. Normally, if I'm going to just do one, I can just use the first one. If I'm going to use a lot of items, then I'm just going to go to the quick grid entry. I can import this file as well. I can say the reason for the stock adjustment, and from here I can select my stock item, and I can bring in, let's just look for one that's got a price on it. I can put my new average cost there and what my new quantity on hand is going to be. I can load it all here. It will show all of my items that I need to see here. And I can do my new quantities on hand as per stock take, or I can put in their stock take. Okay, is there any questions around the items or stock items? I can also adjust my item selling prices, and I can run any of my stock reports under items, under reports. Item listing, sales by item, customer quotes by item, item movement, price list, item bundles, item quantities. Okay, so all of these reports that I have under item, suppliers, customer are all under reports as well. So you can see the user-friendly interface that it has. As long as everything's set up correctly, which is normally the case when you move over, everything's pretty easy to use. So once I've got my items in, I can move to suppliers. And the same thing here, everything that I need to do with suppliers is listed under here. I can go add my supplier. If I get a new supplier in, supplier name, you'll see that there's no code on there. I can then go to category. I can put in their postal address and all of the information that I need to put in here. Credit limits, VAT reference number, and also auto allocate payments to the oldest invoice. If I don't want it to be open item, I can say auto allocate payments to the oldest invoice. And then when I do the payments to the supplier, it will auto allocate. Here's my list of suppliers. I can import my suppliers from this screen as well. Each supplier is there. If I want to do actions on there, I can say for real cycle imports, I can only delete suppliers, customers, items if there's no transactions on there. I can mark a whole lot of them as inactive and then update it. My suppliers transactions, I can move straight into supply purchase orders. It'll have a list of purchase orders here for me, and it'll give me a status on there as well, what is pending. That one's been invoiced and that one's been confirmed. So I can say, all right, the pending one, I can move to actions. I can then select a attachment. If I want a picture or anything of the actual cycle, I can select, add an attachment through there. So as I said, on any of the transaction screens, you can add attachments. If it's pending and it needs to be actioned, I can go preview what it looks like as per my layout that I've chosen or what's on the actual purchase order. I can then also create an invoice straight from there, which creates a supplier invoice. So I don't need to go and create a supplier from the supplier transaction screen. I can just create it straight from here. I can view history on that specific purchase order. I can copy that purchase order over. If it's already been invoiced and I don't want to have the list there, I can go and delete it. Or I can just email it straight from here as well. So it's quite a nice screen. I can search by document number or by date to come to the top, or I can just add a new purchase order from here. See, it's all about just filling in the blocks, put in a supplier order number. If they've got a VAT reference when we created the supply invoice, all of these fields would be created on there. I can then say which layout if I want. If I want a specific purchase order to go to a supplier, I can put a specific layout in there, and I can then select my item, the account, or a bundle if I want. From my items point of view, I can put a purchase order for the helmet, how many I want, the costs. And yeah, you'll see is the first process screen where I can list my projects and areas and the race day which I created as analysis codes. So I can say there, this is for midstream. The area is Joburg, and it's for a specific race day, 94.7. If I want to add any information, you'll see all of these document screens are the same. The customers, quotations, the orders, the tax invoices, the credit notes, all look the same as what it is on here. And next to the item or account or bundle, I can click on the little box to the left of the item, and I can put in a little story that I need to create on the actual purchase invoice. Once it's done, I can email it, print preview. The order is saved and it'll be pending its status. Email to the supplier. Then again, under suppliers, I can do my purchase order, supplier invoice, and supplier return. I can create a supplier payment. This is the same as going into the cash book though. So if a payment comes through from the supplier, I can say add supplier payment. You'll see there is the actual payment already. I can allocate the payment to an invoice if there is an invoice for that specific supplier. I'll show you on the customer side. The invoices will show on the left. The unallocated items payments, I can then just drag to the left and drop it onto that payment that I wanted to pay for. But you also select which bank account. If I do a supplier payment from here, I must select which bank account I must go in. It's just a reminder that if you're going to use either the bank feeds or the importing your bank statements, then you will have that's going to come through again as a duplicate. But as you do the import, it will show you there's duplicates and you can go and delete it if you're using the supplier payments from the screen. Allocating the payments is the same. If you haven't allocated a payment, the open item side, I can go to the actual supplier between dates. I can say there's my payment. I haven't allocated it. I can say this is at 1,000 Rand. I want to allocate this 1,000 Rand. I'll just grab it and drop it on which invoice and I want it to go onto and save. And all my reports for suppliers is under suppliers as well. As I said, you can move the reports here on suppliers, but the supplier reports is all here as well. I can look under my list of suppliers right down to transactions. The supplier transactions I can have a look at by transaction type. So I can say by supplier adjustment or supplier invoice or supplier payment. I can just look at the supplier invoices view report for this month. Okay, there's no data there. That supplier payment wasn't saved. It'll show me my unallocated payments as well, and then emails, what communication I had with the suppliers, the emails that I've sent through them. The special one is just adjust the opening balances. So I can go back and adjust the opening balances there's a reason I can put in there, and I put in the new opening balances if it's changed. That's everything to do with suppliers. And then from the customers, it's exactly the same. I add my customers here. Here's my list of customers. From here, I can import customers. I can add customers. I can go into specific customers and edit them. I can add an invoice from here, add a quote from here, add a sales order, add a receipt, view a statement as well. Let's just edit this customer. I can add, obviously, which category is your cash sale customer, give them a credit limit. I can add a sales rep, and then the rest of the information. The same auto allocate receipts for all this invoice. I'll leave that out. It'll be open item. The activity on there. And I can look at the quotes and invoice, the sales order, etc. So from a customer transactions point of view, I can do a customer's quotation. I've got a whole lot of quotes here, so I'm just going to open the last quote. You'll see it gives me a status as well. It's pending, it's accepted, it's expired. So the expired ones I can go and delete. I don't want it. Invoiced ones, I can go into, we'll edit it if it's been invoiced. If I want to keep it for using it again, I can do that. Otherwise, I can just change the options here as well. I can create a different invoice from here. Customer transactions, I can create my from a quotation, I can, if this is a pending quotation, I can click it. I can go to actions and I can say create an invoice or sales order. So I go straight to sales. You're creating a tax invoice from this quote. The quote status we change to invoice. I say yes, okay, and creates an invoice for me. On the invoice, I can still make changes on here, etc. Options here is where I can show my user defined fields that I put in, fleet number, remember when I put in earlier on, the license number, and show that these fields obviously I have to put through the designer field designer when I create my invoices. That'll appear on the invoice. I'm happy with that. I can just print a delivery note, email invoice and delivery note, or print invoice and delivery note, or just email this. The invoice looks as I designed it. All the information on there. Okay, so I don't see the fields here because this invoice wasn't designed for the specific fields that I put in there, fleet number, etc. The options I do have here, I can have a view GP on the invoice. I can see what my GP is, what the last cost was. I can show the document attachments. If I put an attachment in here, if I forgot to put in the projects and the area, I can put that in now as well. So if it's for midstream, the area, Joburg, if this was created from the quotation with this information on there, it would have come through on here as well. Item, I can say there. So it tells me there's a warning that we set up in the beginning. If there was a duplicate customer reference number being used, then it will give you a warning, but it'll allow me to continue. If it is from the same customer, it gave me the same reference number. And then there's my invoice. From that point of view, from the customers as well, I can set up recurring invoices. So if I have customers that I bill the same amount on a recurring basis, I can set up recurring invoices. So under transactions, I just go into customer recurring invoices. I can then add a recurring invoice. These are ones already that's there. So I'm just going to click on one. It tells me that's the invoice that's there. I can create the invoice as a draft. So I can first of all have a look at it before I actually let it go as a normal invoice, or I can just go automatically. So in the beginning, I'll put them in as drafts, and when I'm happy with the outcome after 3-4 months, I can say, okay, let's change it to automatically. I can put it on a start date. So this one's going to be on, say, the 30th of September every month, or I can do it every week, every second week, second month, or every year. I was going to say this every month, and then I can put an end date to it as well, which I'll probably put the end of December 31. Once the recurring invoices have been set up, I can create it as a draft. So it'll lay in, and I save it. It'll go into draft mode. So I can view my draft invoices. And if they're there, I'm happy with it. I can just say process and mail, or process tax invoices, and it will go. I can still edit this once, or I can say if there was a non-payment expected on a certain customer, I can say skip that one, and it won't create that invoice. It'll stay in draft for the next month. And so as well, I can do my credit notes. I can do a customer receipts, the same as the payments to the supplier. It'll create it. I must create it in a specific bank account. So that if I do use the bank feeds, then it will duplicate it if I use it here as well. Allocating receipts is the same. If you open item, you want to allocate your specific payment. The payments would be unallocated, would show on the right hand side. I will just grab it with my mouse and drag it over and drop it onto the actual invoice I'm paying. And then I save. Then the transaction reports, any adjustments for customers and suppliers as well. It doesn't get done in a journal. It gets done through either the customer transactions, customer write-offs, if it is a write-off, or you can do a customer adjustment. I can do a quick grid entry, which just means it gives me a journal type to work from, and I can import this if it's for a whole lot of different customers. But as you see, I can just say date and the effect being increasing the customer's account with a reference and a description and an amount, and by affecting account. So if it is a write-off, I can just go by, if I had an account for to write it off to, I would have an account here to write off. I can add a new account as I'm on the fly as well, if I don't have that account from the start. So if it is for accounting fees, I can use accounting fees. There's my projects, areas, and race day. So if I just leave these out, it'll come in as uncategorized when I run my reports for specific projects that I'm busy with. If I just wanted to use it for projects, I can just use the project and I can leave the other two out as well. Under customers as well, all my reports would be under here, customer statement run, the list of customers, the sales per customer. So any of these options that I go into, you'll see there's quite a few options that I can have a look at. So if I look at customer transactions, that'll give me my detail ledger for that specific customer. I can do it by customer, by category, or transaction type as well. If I just want to cover all of these transaction types, I just leave it on select transaction type and view the reports, and it'll give me my detail ledger per customer. You'll see if I actually click on the invoice in the detail ledger, the customer drills down to the specific invoice. That's a nice feature. To use, and that's basically going through all of your customers' transactions reports. Then the two extra time tracking and debtors modules are basically the two modules that you have to buy separately. So if you're an accountant or working per hour specifically, you can use the time tracking. I haven't got that module on here. But you can upgrade to that. So it's basically to activate this, and you can buy it through the subscription, is to do your timesheets for specific projects. You can select by specific users or people and what costs is involved, etc. The debtors manager, you can create outstanding, if it's also a separate module, which you can create outstanding invoice action codes. This, you got to buy this separate as well. Once again, I haven't got that module, but we can reach out to us if you want specific specifically have a look at how the time tracking works for the debtors manager if you're in that environment. And this helps with collecting, obviously, the outstanding monies from your customers, etc. So you can create workflows and reasons, and communication with your customer, etc., just to make things easier to collect money from the debtors side of things. Then just getting back to the accountants area. Let's go back on that one. Sorry, the banking. Banking, everything's under banking. You can add your bank or credit cards from here. There's your list of bank and credit cards. You can go through this. There's quick entry rules and there's bank statement mapping rules that we'll get back to just now. But let's just go into the banking list. So I've created bank accounts. Still stuck in allocations here, sorry. So I've got a Nedbank and a petty cash, and I can add as many bank accounts as I like. And obviously, you can edit your bank accounts here or delete, but you cannot delete accounts that have balances in them. So using your bank accounts, there's 3 different ways of doing it. Banking, transactions, I go into banking, and the screen will look like this. It gives you a little set up bank feed that we'll get back to now. I'll just show you first of all how to do the transactions in your bank account. So you'll select your bank account. You can add your banks from here as well. Let's just go to Nedbank, and you'll see there's new transactions and there's review transactions. The review transactions is basically transactions that has been posted already. The new transactions is what we're going to work on. Okay, so there's the first way of doing it is loading it old style manually. Say if I'm going to use the date is today, my payee is going to be Eskom. The description, I can say they're water and lights. And you'll see it's quite, it's dragging out. It's difficult to do. Water and lights, electricity, and water. I just type in the name there. The reference I got to put in. If there's VAT on there, you'll see this. It brings in your whole bank statement, your other spent, because you're capturing this from your bank statement. If I've spent 1,150, there's no projects involved here, but I can put my projects in here as well. You'll see my project area in the race there, but I'm not going to use that. And that's how you enter your next entry and your next entry and your next entry. Okay, so it's quite cumbersome using the, but it is one way of doing it. A lot of old school accountants still like to do that if there's not too many transactions. But if you have got a lot of transactions, I'm just going to delete that. The second option is I can import my bank statement. Okay, so if I can go to import statements, you'll see that most of the banks gives you the OFX layout. If you go into your bank application, you'll see there's a way of downloading through there. It'll ask you how do you want to download it, OFX or CSV. You're going to select OFX. It will allow you to. It's day, month, year, and you go browse for your actual transaction where you saved it from. So you go into your bank, save it to your desktop or to a folder, and from there you can download your bank statement. I've created one just as a CSV file, so I can browse. You'll see it. It'll tell you exactly if I go in there how to set up a CSV file. So it's quite a nice function. Everywhere on your screens you'll see there's help files and how the format must look like. So if I browse this, I just say import file, and you'll see it's imported the file for me. So the information screen I get here is your CSV file that's imported completely successfully. I have 7 rows successfully imported. One of the imported transactions are unallocated and need to be reviewed. So your first time that you do that, everything will be unallocated because you need to give it some banking rules to remember certain stuff that it sees on your bank statement, and then it will remember to which account it goes to. So just by selecting that 3-column CSV file, it's created a description for me, to which account, because I've given it a mapping rule. It created a reference for me. I got to select the first time around whether it remembers whether that is VAT or not, and then it will bring in the VAT for me, and it automatically reconciles it as well. You'll see on the right-hand side here, on the unallocated one, because I have now gave all of these ones mapping rules, which means it remembers. So in 6 months' time, once you've given it all the mapping rules, probably 80% of your accounts would be allocated. You'll see there on the left-hand side, yeah, on the right-hand side, sorry, under actions, there is I first got to allocate an account. So Joe, let's call it sales. I got to click on the mapping rules, which looks like the little graph there. So it says if it sees Joe on your bank statement, you want to enter the payee, you can, this is optional, you don't have to put it in there, and then enter your display description. So I was going to say there, Joe salary, and save. So the next time I import my bank statement, it's going to remember seeing Joe on the bank statement. It's going to know that Joe's got to go to this account here, and there's no VAT on there. Okay, so that's my bank done for the day. I can now also go to each one. If there is a customer account that's done a payment, I can do my allocation here. Sorry, this is a split transaction. I can do split transactions. So if that 10,000 Rand was for the customer, and every time that it comes in, 200 Rand is going to be for a consulting fee or something else, you can split the transaction and it'll remember that as well. But the allocation basically is telling me there's the allocation, what's unpaid, and I want to pay certain invoices. So the amount received, you can allocate the discount here, allocated invoices 0. I can then just allocate it against that invoice there and save. And that's basically my bank account for the day done. It's easy and simple. Let's just make sure when you get the CSV file from your bank account, it's got to be in a certain format. So once I mark all as reviewed, it moves to my reviewed transactions, and all my transactions is here. I can search back from where I want to. I can export it here. And if I move back to new screen, new transactions, you'll see that's an open screen again. Okay, so that's quite a simple and effective way of doing your bank recons. You'll see under banking transactions lists, I've got banking statement mapping rules. I can do this for all of the ones. I can do it pre-doing the import. I can create seeing what the selection is, which account, search the bank statement for what you want to see on there, what you want to see on the pay, maybe if you want to pay a description there, what you want to display in your description, that will go into your ledgers, and this will be your grid to work on to remember all of the different information coming in from your bank account. Okay, the third option is what everybody's raving about, is I can set up my bank transactions as manage bank feeds. So I select my bank, go to bank, I go to reports, transactions, sorry, and manage my bank feeds. So this is then you asking Sage to look at your bank account every single day. We use Sage bank feeds, continue. So what it does then is it looks at your bank account every single day at a certain time, and it then downloads your bank statement for you automatically. So when you log in the next day, when you look in your banking, new transactions, it's all there already. Okay, so things you need to sign up for this, you need to accept their terms and conditions, and you've got to give the information to your bank. So if I want to use NetBank and find my bank there, I use NetBank direct feed. What's needed to connect, you got to have your sign-in credentials ready for your bank. So for security reasons, you'll be periodically prompted to sign into your bank account just to make sure that that if anything's changed, and then be prepared to, it normally takes the first time, it can take up to a day or so. And you can only really go back. Some banks limit their bank statement dates for 90 days. So the first time you do it and you want to go back, it's probably better to just manually import your bank statements as per the CSV file or OFX if you get 3 months back or 6 months back. Otherwise, this you'll do from day one, which is your bank feeds. You need to obviously put in your authentication and everything else, and from there, it'll select the days that you wanted to pull it in. So every day after that, it should bring in your bank. Oopsie, sorry, I just went on. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button and went out. Is there any questions so far?
The chat's pretty clear, so you're either doing a very good job or...
Yeah, it's difficult speaking to the screen. Let me just exit space and load it again.
Yeah, if there's anything that anybody needs to ask and wants to ask, please pop it into the chat, or I think we've actually got it so that everybody's mics can be unmuted as well. So you can actually put up your hand and ask a question if there's anything that Johan hasn't covered in detail so far.
And everyone see my screen again?
Not yet.
Share that again. Okay. Okay, so from a banking perspective, so you've got the 3 ways of doing it, and I think the probably the best way to do it is to start off with doing your imports manually for your bank, just to get up to a point where you're comfortable, and then from there you can switch on your bank feeds, and that then, as you open up your banks in the morning, your banking, you'll see that your bank feed will be in the system, and if you have switched it on, it'll give you saying where you are with your status and everything else. If you have used the payments from the suppliers, payments, transactions, payments, or manually put in any transactions or customers' transactions receipts that you've done, obviously that will be then duplicated So you either have the option to use the one, which is your imports of the bank statements or your bank feeds, and then go and delete the duplications. But you'll see once you do the import and there's duplicates, it'll warn you that there's duplicates. So if I go re-import my CSV file again, import the file, it'll tell you the duplicates are found. So then you can just go in and select the ones that you want to delete and delete them. All my review transactions is there. You can set up as the administrator of the program, you can go back into the review transactions, obviously, and make changes in there. You can then select for your users that they're not allowed to do that. So once they've done any new transactions and move them to review, they won't be able to edit them. So from that point, it's quite nice that if you do have errors on the system or recon errors or numbers that came in, but once it's come through the bank import, it should be all correct. But you can go back and change the accounts and stuff like that. So you don't have to go do journals, etc. as the administrator. I wouldn't recommend that everybody does that, but you have got that option. So that's the banking side of things. Easy to use, scalability, that every time you log into the Sage accounting, Sage would have basically updated and did the upgrades that they needed to do, and maybe added some features. And when you open it, you say, oh, look, there's something new. They've done it already. They'll give you a warning. They'll probably switch off for an hour or two on a Sunday night between 10 and 12 or 12 and 2. But you'll see that when you move to your home screen or the main screen, there would be an announcement come up for you saying that they'll be offline for 2 hours. It's like this here. It says your product in red, product update. Sage Accounting will be undergoing system maintenance on Monday, the 16th September 2024 for 2 hours between 8 and 10. So click here for more information. So basically, yeah, so we don't have to worry about installs or upgrades or cross grades or anything else. Once you're on this software, you keep going. And just moving back to the accountants area and the VAT reports, you'll see how easy it is to print VAT reports. It's very detailed as well. You can close your VAT periods. Once you've closed the VAT period, so I'm working in my 7th and 8th months here. Once you close a VAT period, you can still post entries back to that period, but once it's closed, it won't show in that VAT report. It'll only show in the next VAT report. So if somebody does post back something to that area, you can also then select your users to only work in certain periods under the control user access as well. The reports you get out of here is your VAT 201 report. You'll see there's a view VAT wizard. Okay, so once you select it, only your accountant can really set this up. If he's on the accountant's edition, he can log into your SARS platform and link your subscription to the actual SARS website, where they can then automatically submit the VAT. But the thing is, he has to be a accountants forum member and qualify for the Sage accountants edition. Your reports you can run is quite vast on the VAT reports, and if you've set it up correctly, you shouldn't be going out with your VAT on a monthly basis, as long as you make sure that nobody works in the wrong periods, or set them up that they don't work in the wrong periods, and you close your VAT period so that nobody can really, if they do post something back and they're allowed to post something back, they can then make that VAT adjustment or VAT entry show into the next VAT period. Okay, so this is safeguarding so that your VAT calculations don't go out. There's an audit report as well for the actual accountants, where you can run through there. So yeah, from accountant's access point of view, you're allowed to give him all of these accesses, and he can work on there. Your bank feeds will work. You can do your bank imports manually if you want as well. From automatic VAT 201 submissions, the automation comes from the actual accountant. But you can see you can do your VAT reports as well by yourself under VAT, and you'll see there's a vast transaction report, VAT adjustments, payments and refunds, the reports that you can get out there, summary report, transaction reports, payment reports, etc. So you can play around. You can even reopen previous VAT periods. So if you have closed a VAT period and you don't want to go the route where you want to show your VAT that should have been for the previous period in the next period, you can go and reopen your VAT period and post that entry, and then go and close the VAT period, as long as you haven't done any payments to SARS or refunds from SARS, which will make your VAT report go out. So that's from the VAT side of things, and I hope I've just showed everyone that the ease of use on the different screens, very easy to use. You don't have to be an accountant or a bookkeeper to work in the system. Hopefully I haven't bored you in any which way. Just coming back to the dashboards, if you don't want to use the custom, the drop-down menus, you can go to your dashboards and work from here. There's dashboard options. I can add widgets on here. So if I can add more widgets if I want on the actual dashboard and work from that center. If you need training, is basically from Sage side. They have got a website called Sage University, where you can go in and there's free training from their side. They've got a nice little feature in there. They call it bite-sized training sessions, where they've got specific training on stock items, or specific training on invoicing or suppliers or cash books, or how to set it up, etc. So it's really very informative, little video clips that they can do. If and for some reason that that you need more than just the Sage accounting, there's always an upgrade path to different areas. Sage has got a stack that you can move up if your business has grown quite nicely and quite big. You can always move on to the Sage Intact, which is also an online product, but it's for bigger companies, for more users, etc., for more complicated transactions. On the other hand, if you just need something like a warehouse to be added on, or maybe a point of sale, you can go to the Sage Marketplace, where they have the Sage third-party applications, or ISVs, they call them, to actually integrate with Sage. Like Pilot is a point of sale, or GARP is a point of sale, which you can partner with, and they can set up a point of sale that integrates with Sage. If you're looking at warehousing and some manufacturing details, you can look at things on the marketplace. You'll find different third-party ones. There's ones we looked at is FenyaSoft. But if you can reach out to us, and we can put you in the right direction with that sort of thing. But from a point of view of budget-wise, I think it's really a nice little program, which is not very expensive and for budget purposes, and for the scalability it has, and for the compliance as well. It ticks all those boxes. You can always bundle it as well with the Sage payroll product that they have. It does integrate as a different program. You log in, but it's got the same feel. And from there, once you've done your payroll entries, you can then select to let that payroll journal come across to your Sage accounting automatically as well. So it does integrate from that point of view. And I think it's a bit cheaper if you buy the bundled with the Sage payroll as well. Yeah, from my side, there wasn't many questions. So
I think we'll open the floor if there is anybody that wants to ask anything. I think you've pretty much covered it in good detail. Thanks, Johan. I see Danielle has also just copied the link for a bit more content into the chat. So if you guys are um, looking for a bit more information, please feel free to go through to our website as well. We'll be in contact in any case, and the recording of your session will also be available to you if there's somebody in your organization that couldn't join for whatever reason and you'd like them to also see it. But if they just a quick one, if there's any questions, please add them. If not, then Johan, thank you very much. It was really good. I see a video come on, so please tell me there's going to be a unmute there as well. Carolyn, patience. Is there any questions from anybody's side at this point in time? Oh, you're on mute there.
None on my side here. Thank you.
Great stuff.
okay, must have done a good job then.
All right, guys. Please, if you have any further questions, please reach out to the teams. I'm sure you guys have spoken to most of the guys on our side as well. But if you haven't, for the KZN guys, you're welcome to reach out to Clayton. On the Joburg side, Wendy or Patience or Kubus will be available. Johan's also available to you. But thanks for joining us, and I hope it was informative, and I hope we can do a bit more work going forward. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.